All right. So let me present just in time. So for just in time, guys, okay, sorry, not that one. Okay, let's present. So cycle time reduction, TAKT time, and just in time. So cycle time reduction. So what is cycle time reduction? So the goal really, as I mentioned no, in the previous video, that in the previous discussion, that we have to meet TAKT time by making sure that we are also capable of doing so. That's why cycle time should be computed first, and then whenever it's higher than the TAKT time, we have to reduce it. Okay, that's why cycle time actually goes along with TAKT time. Now, cycle time, as we know, is the time taken from the start of the production of a particular unit to the completion of a product. So its unit of measure is minute per unit, hour per unit, seconds per unit. So basta it's a time period per unit. Now, it is computed that way because we want to know how much time does it require for that product to be finished from start to end. No, and it's computed per product. So for example, if you are producing product A and it takes 30 minutes to do that, the cycle time for product A is 30 minutes per unit. Okay? Now, cycle time reduction is basically an approach to methodically reduce the duration of any repetitive process, thus reducing our cycle time. So the significance of cycle time is, of course, it launched products to market much earlier, giving us competitive advantage. There is higher efficiency because we are eliminating non-value adding things and lowering the cost. It also provides customer satisfaction because, again, if we meet TAKT time by making sure our cycle time is reduced to a minimum level as possible, then customers are satisfied. Productivity is also increased because there's less time in producing things and reducing the cost of the entire operations, including the labor, no, and the like. Ways and means to reduce the cycle time. We eliminate waiting time, perform tasks in parallel, re-engineering, meaning to say we have to really look into the process and check which parts can be improved, no, and eliminated if possible. Then time management and scheduling of tasks and employee involvement. So TAKT time, on the other hand, it's actually a German word. Tak is like I don't know how it was explained, but it's like a beat, no? Like one beat. It's a German word for like beat, or like heartbeat, kumbaga. So mean to say, if the customer requires that in a heartbeat, you have to really be able to pull that and give that to the customer. Okay? So TAKT time preview. TAKT time, okay, I think TAKT time preview. Okay, TAKT time refers to the amount of time a manufacturer has per unit to produce enough goods to fulfill customer demand. Meaning to say, it doesn't matter if you can do that in your capability and your process capability. What the customer wants is you are able to commit that is the time you need to finish that item. So as mentioned in my previous discussion, if the customer requires you to finish the item in 30 minutes per unit, so it has the same unit as cycle time, but your cycle time is 45 minutes, meaning you're losing 50% of it, 15 minutes, no? That the customer requires you to do it in a much faster pace. That means it's either you resort to overtime, or the other ways to solve that is really add people, because it divides equally the cycle time, no? So either adding people or extend working hours, because we cannot extend the entire 24 hours in a day, but what we can extend is our working hours, no? But that's gonna stress your workers. So as much as possible, we have to congest and follow TAKT time. Okay? So TAKT time, dara. Adera, it's pulse. That was what, it's not heartbeat pala, it's pulse. It's a German word, TAKT, which means either to measure, cycle, or pulse time. So in a heartbeat, in a pulse, you are to be able to finish one product. So as you can see in that very cute GIF, that's the tact time, no? Like everything is in an assembly line. You have to really repeat the same process all the time. Instead of one person does everything, cycle time is moving one item to the other. This is concept by Henry Ford, no? Assembly line. So that in like how many seconds is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds, one product is done and delivered. So that's how tact time works. Okay? Now, how do we compute tact time? So, working time available over customer demand. So, working time available is your full shift minus your breaks, your meetings, and all others. Customer demand is the units required that you have to do in a production period. So, here's an example. Lalab's company has single 8-hour shift on a 5-day work week. There is a 30 minutes hour unpaid lunch break in the middle of the day. So the workers are actually in the plant at work for 7 hours and 30 minutes. So there is 30 minutes na lunch break. So we start with 7 hours times 60 minutes plus 30 minutes. That's 450 minutes. So minus 30 minutes in a 480-hour shift. 480-minute shift. But there is a 10-minute startup process in the morning, 2 10-minute breaks during the day, and 15 minutes shutdown and clean up at the end of the shift for a total of 45 minutes. This time, the time is not production time, so it is subtracted from the available minutes. So 450 minus 45, that's 405 minutes. So if leveled customer demand was 50 units per day, so this is leveling, hijung ka pa rin, then the tact time would be 405 over 50 units. Meaning to say, you are required to be done in 486 seconds per unit. So I think they missed the per unit, per unit na measure. So you are only required 8.1 minutes, okay, to finish. So that means your total available minutes per day is 2025. Total available minutes divided by 250 required units, it's still the same, 8.1 minutes per unit. Okay. Now, what are the benefits of making sure that tact time is achieved? Of course, it's efficiency and visibility. And tact time is working time available divided by customer demand. So if cycle time is greater than the tact time, then that's a problem. Okay, you can never meet customer demand. But if your cycle time is less than your tact time, then you have a lot of time to do the process. But there's still ways, no? Because you're waiting. Okay, so when tact time changes due to shifting demand, leaders have to adjust capacity. This often requires continuous improvement. So speaking of just in time, that's our last topic. Just in time is a management strategy that aligns raw material orders from suppliers directly with production schedule. Meaning to say, by the time the customer requires it, you will be able to give that to the customer. No need na siya mag-wait. So there's no need for that customer to wait. Cuts inventory costs because manufacturers receive materials and parts as they are needed for production. Meaning to say, you don't have inventory in your store, in your warehouse, in your manufacturing. You will have to contact directly your supplier that you need this material because you will produce it on that day. Okay, that's just in time. All right. So the history of just in time is still from Toyota Manufacturing Corporation in the 1970s by Taiichi Ono. And how can we apply it? So we start tracking sales data, we build relationships with reliable vendors, we look into local production and sign up for an inventory management software. And how? Forecast demand accurately, steady production, relies on many lean tools. So that being said, guys, actually, just in time is not applicable to all companies. It's not even going to make other company better than the other. Because if your supplier is not that dependent, more likely you will lose in that competition, in the competition of just in time. So I believe some of the companies that does just in time is Dell laptops. So they actually go communicate to their suppliers once there's a demand for it. But if there's no demand for it, they don't get from the suppliers. No, so it really relies a lot of many lean tools: continuous flow, Hijunka, Kanban, standardized work, and tact time. Because if you do have tact time, then your suppliers understand that there's a need for that. There's a need for that tact time to be. How do we say this? To be, there's a need for that tact time to be followed, no, religiously. So that's why there are a lot of lean tools that you can adjust and use, no, when you do just in time. What are the pros and cons? So as mentioned, it's not really for all. Pros, of course, there's no inventory, therefore there's no waste in inventory. It gives manufacturer more control. There is also local sourcing because you don't need to wait for imported goods, but instead focus on the local suppliers. Then there is also smaller investment, especially on the inventory, and shorter production runs. You don't do big batch or big lots in your production. But there are also disadvantages. For the cons, there is disruption in the supply chain whenever the supplier is unreliable, sudden unexpected order for goods, and then you don't have suppliers who are capable of meeting such demand, and it becomes supplier dependent, no? And last but not the least, you may be detrimental to the environment because you will encounter a lot of waste. Okay, so ideal just-in-time inventory is like this. It is shown in this way, wherein if it already meets your certain level, your minimum inventory, you have to reorder once again so that before it completely ends, your order has already arrived. So that's just in time. It's actually solved by EOQ, right? The economic order quantity. So may be calculated using reorder level equals your average daily sales times lead time. So that's your ROP. So if calculated correctly, the new inventory should arrive just as the older stock is exhausted. But again, that's not realistic, no? Then reorder level is calculated by multiplying your average daily sales. So whenever you are selling 10 items per day and your next item comes after 3 days, if your items is left with 30 units there, you have to reorder. So that for the 3 days that you are waiting for the orders to come, you can still survive. Okay, that's the ideal concept of ROP. And reorder point is the point in time when you place the order for more stocks. So example, no, your average daily sales for these items is 10, 20, and 3. Then the lead time is 8 days, 5 days, and 7 days. Meaning to say the reordering point for the first product is 80, for the second product is 100, and the third product is 21. Meaning, if the items left there are 80, 100, and 21, you have to already reorder. All right? Or the EOQ, I think we discussed this in a previous discussion. It's square root of 2ds over h. All right? So do you have questions for just in time?
No, ma'am.
No? So I hope that was clear. So basically, guys, the simple concept of just in time is look at how online sellers in Shopee does it. Okay, di ba? The online sellers in Shopee, especially those Filipinos that get supplies from Chinese stores, they do actually just in time because once the customer hits order in Shopee or Lazada, that's the only time they also order in the Chinese store. So that's just in time, no? Like you're not storing anything. You're sure also that it's gonna be bought by a customer. And if ever it will not be bought, it's okay because the item is just, how do we say this? The item is just saleable and you can do push marketing on it. But if possible, it's supposed to be, it will be sold right away because as much as possible, no inventory should be left. All right? So yeah, I think that's it, guys. I hope you learned something today. So if